Okay, so we'll start with the daily review. So with each one of these lines, we need to figure out what the slope and the y-intercept are. Some of them are in slope-intercept form. So the first one, for example, you have y equals a number times x plus another number. So that's going to give you your slope and your y-intercept. But some of them, like number 4, are not in slope-intercept form. So we have to get rid of this 2.5 first by subtracting 2.5 from both sides. And then you can figure out what your slope and your y-intercept are. Okay, so that's going to lead us into 3.7, which is more graphing lines. So with example 1, it says isolate y and then graph each equation. So here's y in our equation. So in order to isolate y, we have to get rid of that 3x, negative 3x. And we can do that by adding 3x to both sides. So it's going to cancel out on the left side. So we have 2y equals 2 plus 3x. And then we can divide the entire equation by 2 to get it into slope-intercept form. And remember, we have to take 2 and divide by 2, which is going to give us a y-intercept of 1. And we also have to take this 3x and divide by 2. So it's going to give us a slope of 3 over 2. So with that, we start with the y-intercept of 1. And we're going to go up 1, 2, 3 over 2. Down 1, 2, 3 over 2. And that's going to get us all the points across our graph. So we can connect our straight line. And it's going to look like that. So I'm going to leave the second one on this page for you guys to do. And move on to example 2. Again, similar with example 2, we need to get rid of this positive 2x. We can do so by subtracting 2x from both sides. Because with equations, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And in this case, we just have y equals negative 3 minus 2x. So that's going to give us a y-intercept of negative 3 and a slope of negative 2, or negative 2 over 1. So down 2, right 1. And we can go up 2 and then to the left 1 also. And your line will look like that. And again, I'll leave the second question on example 2 for you guys to do. Example 3, again, pretty similar. One thing to notice with this, this minus sign goes with y. So it's actually like we have a negative 1 right there that we'll have to get rid of later. So we have to get rid of that 3x first, and we can do so by subtracting 3x from both sides. It's a positive 3x, so to cancel it out, we have to subtract it. And then, again, we have negative 1y equals 1 minus 3x. So y is not completely by itself. We have to divide everything by negative 1, both sides of our equation. So then we're going to have y equals, and again, we have 1 divided by negative 1, which is going to give us a y-intercept of negative 1. And then we also have negative 3 divided by negative 1, which is going to give us a slope of positive 3. So the y-intercept's at negative 1, and then the slope, we're going 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 back 1, and your line is going to look like this. And then again, there's one for you to do. And then here's example 4. So with example 4, we need to get rid of this 4x. We can do so by subtracting 4x from both sides. If you want to leave the 0 there, you can. A textbook will never have the 0 there. And then we have to get y by itself, so we need to divide everything by 3. So again, if it makes it easier for you to graph from slope-intercept form, leave it as 0 minus 4/3 x. But in a textbook, you would only see y equals -4/3x because the 0 is just a little bit excessive. We don't really need it. So we're going to start at 0, and then we're going to go down 4 and over 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and back 3. And your line is going to look like this. So the next one on this page, there's kind of two ways to go about doing it. We could add 2y to both sides, and that's going to kind of cut down your steps with this. Or option 2 would be to subtract 2x from both sides and to subtract 5 from both sides. So whichever way you want to start that is completely fine. Oftentimes in math you'll find you can do things multiple ways, but you should always end up with the same line with example 4. And then last but not least, sometimes you won't have either a slope or an intercept, or you might have a vertical line. But again, with this one, we can isolate y. With the one that I'm going to leave for you guys to do, you can't isolate y because there is no y in the equation. To isolate y in this equation, we have to get rid of that -3 by adding 3 to both sides. So we're going to get y equals 3. And this is a line with a y-intercept of 3. So 0, 3 is a point. And our slope, because there's no x, it wouldn't change this at all if we added a 0x. And a slope of 0 is just straight across. And then remember, with x equals, you will have a vertical line, not a horizontal. It's kind of the opposite of y. So make sure you finish those other 5 examples and then submit this to Schoology.